This podcast is brought to you by
Emotional, damn it!
Word, one phrase, one sentence. We'll end with this. One word, one phrase, one sentence to sum up this discussion for you. Let's start with Brandon.
One word, growth.
Growth.
And then you said one sentence.
Yeah, one word, like however you want to, not just like, in like in a nutshell, basically. How do you want to sum this up?
I would say give in order to receive.
All right, Damien.
For me, it'll be open. Yeah, be open to mentorship and be open to taking advice. Taking advice from people that are in your space, right? As far as if I had to use a word, I would say gratitude. I'm grateful to be able, to have this conversation with you guys and just being in a room with people that are in the same space but from different backgrounds, I should say. And it was a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing.
Right.
Meenakshi.
So for me, the highlight that I am going back home with it, what comes easy to you might come difficult to others. I might be an expert in something, but I should be open to learn something that's difficult for me. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind, and that was my highlight key takeaway for the day.
All right, so this is a brainstorming session. We're gonna start out with my little framework that I've been developing. And if you want to close your eyes, you can. If you don't have to. It's just like as a way that I'm going to transfer my mental pictures to you, like kind of like a part of my mind palace. So it all starts with a planet. You see a planet, and then it has three parts of the planet. You have the outside. It symbolizes the masks we wear, like small talk, superficiality. As we go deeper inside, we find the Middle Earth, where we find an ecosystem where humans live, and then at the very core we can find the core of the Earth, which could symbolize the seat of consciousness or the seat of the soul, which is the deepest we can go in a conversation or even like in introspection. If we go to the Middle Earth, we'll find an ecosystem. We have clouds, we have a garden, a house, and a farm. The garden represents emotions, emotional intelligence. The house represents actions, is where we process everything. And then the farm represents thoughts, which is like the different ideas, when they hit, from the cloud, the water comes down and hits the soil, and you have plants and the animals can eat and stuff. If we go beneath the farm, we can find a gold mine, below the thoughts. And this symbolizes the mind. And there are also three parts to the mind. We have the entrance to the gold mine. We have the part where we find the vein of gold. And if we follow the vein of gold, we will reach the gold reserves, is where the treasure is inside our mind. And what I want to do today is start finding that vein in each of our minds and to see if we can get to the gold reserves and get to the treasure, which it will be the most valuable ideas that we can gather here. And in a brainstorming session, there's a framework to that too, where we can have like the dots, that connecting dots basically, and we connect the dots and then we align them. We create lines and we create shapes. We take those shapes and we color them and we make a move, creating some sort of motion picture, like a movie of ideas. And that is the framework that I developed. Hopefully you guys can get it, or if you have some sort of framework you like yourself, but that's just the way that I like to picture it. Okay, the topic today is advertising, and I have here some frameworks here that I have as an outline, but I'm completely open to let the conversation flow as well, and I'll add points from the outline as it goes, because I'm not really tied to this outcome. So a few key things that I think I should mention are, like, in Monday and Wednesday we talked about that advertising is just the way to get the prospect to the door and then begin the sales process. And then Andriana was talking about the avatar, So with the avatar, we have 5 things that I broke down from the framework, and it's demographic, psychographic, and then I never heard this before, but I thought I'd ask ChatGPT if it could add a little more to that, and it says emographic, narrographic, and simgraphic. So demographic is for physical and statistical identity. Psychographic is for mental patterns, beliefs, and values. Emographic is for emotional world and unspoken truths. Narrographic is their life story and transformation arc. And then simgraphic is the way they reflect you and your mission. So I'd like to start out with Brandon because was his job, or this is his job. And if you can draw from what I said or completely start from a different point, it's up to you. And this is where I like to get the brainstorming session started. So, Brandon, does what I told you connect with you at all, or would you like to start somewhere else when it comes to the topic of advertising?
Yeah, I mean, this is like kind of like marketing 101, like knowing your customer and being able to resonate, with that. I think what you said is true, and I think in the world that we're in now, this is becoming even more hyper focused. And I would say, for example, like using email marketing, because there's so many touch points in marketing to where emails, there's automation now that customizes emails as to when the best time to send it for you, not even where you live, but what your email checking schedule is like, and even customizing the copy to that individual. So this is getting very more detailed as far as beyond just like the demographics or whatever, but touching on individualized like pain points of the individual. But what you're talking about is definitely a good framework to start with, especially if your customer, like product or service that you're selling, is not something that you personally use. And that was like a challenge for me before. I would use like my wife and I owned a swimwear company, and she I don't wear women's bathing suits, but that was something that was a challenge for me. So I had to really understand how to be able to sell that into stores, but also come up with like the marketing content for that. So that would definitely be something that framework would use more. Whereas something where, for example, I had my own startup. I live in Brazil. I'm really active into mixed martial arts also as well. And, that is my demographic. So I didn't really have to go through and create that framework. I just kind of could talk and do the email marketing and write the content on the website. So that's like 2 examples where one was very hard for me to sell to, and another one was very easy for me to sell to.
Excellent. All right, let's go to Call Me First.
So, which one was it that you were mentioning from ChatGPT? Which one was it that you were saying that was the one for deeper connection?
Well, I've seen these before because there's like I've taken courses for this type of stuff, and demographic and psychographic are always present. But the emographic, narrographic, and simgraphic are ways to go even deeper into the avatar.
Okay, so as far as advertising goes, right? I'm just getting into the space of business as far as like online advertising, online presence. What I've come across is that, and I hear a lot of people that are deeper or further in their walks of advertising and business. I hear them say this: people don't really care about your story unless it has something for them. So as a part of advertising, I haven't recorded, I'm be honest with you, I haven't recorded a podcast episode in about 8 weeks. Even though you see new ones coming out, I haven't recorded one in about 8 weeks because I batch record. And the issue that I was having was I kept on talking about things that I was interested in. I have to find a way to connect to the people more. So to go deeper with that is you actually have to, in advertising, you have to go deep to find out what the people actually want from you and then deliver that. So as a part of, the advertising, that's what I'm learning. But I know that Omega and Branded are probably pretty well versed in the part of advertising and marketing. So being on here with them, I definitely want to learn more from them. And I think Adriana, you're in that space too, right? Okay. Yeah, so I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say to learn more about the advertising part. But my main thing is when you're advertising, you have to have something for the consumer, something that they actually want, not what you want to give them.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's do that. Let's frame this discussion, and then let's let the experts talk more. So we'll establish who the people who have the most knowledge is, and then we'll have the people who have less knowledge about advertising to ask the questions. And then one thing I want to push back on with you, Damien, is that like. Joe Rogan, for example, is top podcaster in the world, and what he says is that people gave him advice all the time, and he never listened to them. He just chased his curiosity. So what he was interested in, and the guests he was interested in, period. And then over time, it grew because sales is beliefs transfer. So basically, if you're curious about something and people can see that and feel that, then you win. Over time, not in the short term. Yeah. So, all right, let's go to Omega. I think you're muted somehow, but it doesn't say muted on the thing.
I'm muted. I muted myself. I was gonna say that I see that a lot actually when we help freelancers market themselves, because the main strategy that we take is that we'll map out exactly what they want out of their career, right? So they figure out and they get really clear on what they want, what they're good at, what they can talk about, and then they use that to see, okay, how can I help other people with this? So we'll have them make posts on LinkedIn that are really focused on helping the person. And what that does is that when somebody's looking for someone with X skills, they see that this person actually provides value to everybody in the community. They're like, okay, he's not just smart and just bragging about it. He's like smart and helping a lot of people, and it actually works. And so he's, on one hand, talking about what he likes and what he knows and what he's good at, which gives him confidence, and you can tell that he enjoys it. And then on the other hand, he's using that and directing it in a way that really helps a lot of people. So it's like a balance between the two, where it's not fake, it's not ingenuine. He's not just there to help people, he's there to use what he loves to attract the people that he actually wants to be around. So we've seen that work really well, because they attract exactly the pool that they would want to have around them. So they're not just attracting everybody, they're just attracting the right people, the right audience to them.
Beautiful. And please share your thoughts and feelings on the chat. That way, like, let's say if we're having if we're hitting a point, and then you really wanna say something, then like people in the chat, people like speaking will see it, or like I'll see it and I'll point it out and I'll go to you next. All right, let's go to Matt Shamlu.
All right, so can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I'm trying to think. I have a few answers, so which one, how should I start this one?
You started with whichever one you want.
So with the video background, I've always realized, because one of the biggest things I had a fear of was, I always had this idea that I want to try to attract everybody. I don't want to steer clear from other people. I don't want people, if I target one specific person, am I going to be saying no to everybody else? And then I realized, and I started seeing this just in my personal life, that when you talk to somebody in particular, like when you have a really niche understanding of who you want to attract, I don't want to say you want to stereotype, you want to generalize who you're trying to bring in, then what ends up happening is those types of people that are attracted, those are the people that actually get the attention. I think I might be wording this wrong, but for example, Nike does a really good job. When you think of Nike, you think of sneakers. When you think of sneakers, you think of working out. However, they're more than just workout sneakers. They're for style. They're for comfort. They're for everything else. So you can still target a specific group of people, but you're not closing the door on other people. So that was one of the things I had a hard time learning, because primarily when I do my video production business, my biggest source of income is weddings. So I had a hard time, like, I just want really nice people who are mellow and fun to get along with. But then I still had to identify, quote unquote, my ideal client, which has always been a difficult thing for me. But now it's more of, okay, I want somebody who wears Lululemon. I want somebody who like lives in a certain area. I like somebody who has this type of fashion sense. Because once you start specifying who you're trying to target and who you're trying to look for, that specific person or client is going to listen. Where if you try to be like, hey, I'm going to work with anybody, you're not really going to have anybody listen. And if they do, it might be more of a price shop type of client.
Okay. Let me see here. Real time. Oh, okay. So who has some real time value based on what he was saying? Real time value on the spot. Yeah, go ahead.
I think what he said makes a lot of sense, actually, because if you have a person who identifies a certain way in their head, maybe they aren't thinking in the moment when you're doing your advertising, oh, I'm a really chill person and I'm going to have a wedding soon. But they're thinking, oh, like they're identifying as someone who works out, they wear Lululemon, they do these certain things, they like the certain music. So when they see the advertising that kind of hits on that, maybe their identity is stronger in that area, for example. And so they resonate with the advertising more. Maybe they don't relate to it yet. Maybe they're not engaged yet. They're not planning on getting married. But now they kind of resonate so that when the opportunity comes, they're like, oh, well, I think I'm going to work for Matt because he's the one that understands who I am the most. I think that's not like the best example, but it's like it makes sense in human psychology and sales. That would be the pattern that would follow someone being advertised to.
I like that, and I appreciate that a lot. I guess to add to what you're saying, and I'm trying to think of another example that might make it a little bit more, oh, I see exactly what you mean. Because I feel like this has been the one thing that's always been difficult for me is identifying who my ideal client is. Because a lot of people are going to be, oh, I want someone who's down to earth, someone who's laid back, someone who's kind, appreciative. But you can find those people who have different budgets. You can find a person that's just like that who cannot afford you. You can find somebody like that who has an infinite budget. But if you want to find somebody who specifically to where it's like there's an attachment to it, if I say the word, if I'm talking about, hey, I want somebody who likes Tony Robbins' work, now all of a sudden that word is almost, that name is like a trigger for people. Not in a bad way, but more of like, oh, I'm listening. Where I forgot where I saw it. There was this, I think it was ironically a marketing company that was talking about, oh, we worked with Tony Robbins. That's the only reason why I even watched the video. And then you watch it, I'm like, oh, he's just trying to name drop. But I think there's certain trigger words or trigger's not the word, but there's things that you can say in your marketing.
Like it lights the person up and they're like, oh, like.
Yeah, now it's like,
Is it trigger cues? Is it cues?
Yeah, cue. Okay, so, like for example, for the photographer, if I start talking about cameras or lenses, they're listening a little bit more.
Yeah, because you got me with it. Once you said you were a photographer and videographer, I'm saying, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's certain things that in marketing that, if you're trying to please everybody, you please nobody. But if you start really niching down, it's scary, but other people are going to listen. Even if it's some, like, here's a good example. I don't know how this even began. Sorry if this offends someone, but like, Carhartt was originally for like blue-collar workers, like for outside working conditions.
Carhartt? What is that? Carhartt?
It's like brand. Yeah, the brand. Yeah. But now it's like a fashion thing that a lot of girls like wearing.
Can somebody spell it in the chat? Because I don't know how do you spell it?
Is it I don't know how to spell it. I don't know, look it up.
No, you keep saying your point. There's somebody else that knows. Please just put it in the chat. But I want to hear your point.
Yeah, for me, when you're really speaking to one, and when I got into coaching, what made me actually hire my business coach was I work with videographers to help them make more money. And that might sound like such a general statement, but once you said that word videographer, it was like, oh, he might know something about me. Therefore, I'm a little bit more interested. Or if he just said, I help people make more money, then I'm like, okay. But at least when you start using words that people identify with or people associate themselves with, whether it's a community, whether it's a hobby, whether it's something that they do on a regular basis, I feel like now that just gives me another reason to keep listening or keep watching, whatever the case may be.
Okay. Andriana, I know you got some value here. What's going on? You always got some good.
I think that you can focus on the logic of it, and I can talk about the logic and the studies and the science of marketing all day long. But when it comes to small business, what I have learned is when you're starting out, you gotta divide it into two columns. And one column is what is it that I'm looking to deliver and what is the value that I bring to the market. And so when we're getting to know ourselves, and I suppose many of us are here for that. We're not quite sure what we want to bring to the market. And if you don't know exactly what you want to bring to the market, you got to do that work first. When I'm going to use Call Me First podcast as an example, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
If what you're bringing is a podcast and you're divided between should I create what I like or should I create what people will find value? I think there is no the right answer. It's go somewhere in the middle. But before you can get into let me create for what other people like or what they would find value on or what I like, you first got to figure out what do you like, who are you, and it's crazy to say because most of us think we know relatively who we are, but it's getting into the point, nitty gritty, point by point, what do I like? What do people like me like? Ask the people around you, what do they see in you? Because oftentimes what we see in ourselves is not what other people see on us. And for a podcast, for example, people who are going to resonate with you are people who are attracted to the things that you like. So if you try to create for them, but you're not coming from that energy or owning that space, then they're not going to connect with you. And the first thing you have to do is connect with your audience, and then you can provide value. That's when it comes to a podcast, that is like the sales process, is the connecting with them. Who is this person? What do they believe? Do they believe the same thing that I believe? The only reason someone mentioned, I think it was Matt, that he listened to a podcast or a ad because they dropped the name of Tony Robbins is because he has a personal interest in Tony Robbins. And because he associates good things with that brand, he's willing to listen. But if the brand doesn't carry out the message in a way that it connects with what Tony Robbins teaches, then it was a waste of time. It was enough to trigger your curiosity, but not enough to retain. And when it comes to building an audience in a podcast, it's or in a business in general, it's not only about getting them to be curious, but retaining the audience and carrying out through with it.
Yes, trigger curiosity and follow through. Follow through. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So what Adriana said, I really, really, really respect it, and I take it all into consideration. But now you say but. What I wanted to make sure that I did say clear up because I tell that it probably sounded different than I wanted it to come off. When I say that I'm was torn between doing talking about myself. Here's what I'm saying. When you're talking about yourself or talking about your experiences in, like for me with self-development, I got to the point where I'm just talking about what's going on in my life and things that I'm learning to develop and things that I'm working on. And what I realized I wasn't doing in the beginning, I wasn't making sure that there was value for the people, that they're getting something from it at the time. It was mainly about what I was going through, what I was doing, things that everything was me. Even though I'm sharing life experiences that people can actually relate to, and I know they were, but I wanted to specifically make sure that there was going to be value for the person that my ideal audience, which is probably men from the age of 25 to 45. You know what I mean? As far as the self-development part goes. So I had to get over the part where I'm just talking about everything that's going on with me, even though people love to hear it. But I had to make sure that there was value there somewhere that they can pick up. And that's what I'm working on now.
I have something to share on that, and that's Rustin on Wednesday was talking about that. He says, my ideal audience avatar is the person I used to be.
I like that.
So...
I like that.
That's right. This is why I like to hit up a topic for the whole week, because if you really want to go deep, you have to hit it again and hit it from different angles. So all right, let's go to Meenakshi. Oh, and before that, just to go on top of what Andriana said, what I like, what I don't like, it's kind of like the ikigai, where like you have, like if you want to do a diagram, it's like what I like, who I am, and then what my audience likes, what they have, and then in the middle you combine the circles together, and then it's like, okay, what aligns with both things, with what I like doing and what I'm curious about, and what I think is valuable to them or what is valuable to them. And the only way to find out ironically, what's valuable to them is by putting out what you like and then seeing how that's providing value based on the feedback that you're getting. It's like it's like an experiment. So let's go.
Can I add on to what he had said?
Sure.
What he said about like he had to overcome. Also, I don't even know what your actual name is. I think I missed it somewhere, so I'm just referring to you as he. But
Damien, what's your pronouns?
Damien. There we go. Okay, so what you, Damien, had said was basically that you were talking about yourself a lot more, and that triggered a thought in my head, which was in the beginning of my sales career, when I would sell, my goal was that like I sell the product as much as I can. Like I'm talking about like all the reasons why it's like amazing, and I was the one in the seat talking the whole time. But now after being in and working, like having a mentor teaching me how to actually sell, it's completely different. It's the way that they sell the most, the way that you get people to actually want to buy is when you actually have them sell themselves, and they're the one talking, and they're the one creating, like in their head, the reasons why they should buy. And it's crazy. It flips the script. So now I just sit there and I'm like, okay, like why? What about this? What about that? And I'm just asking them questions. And then at the end, they're like, dude,
They sold
I think I need to buy. They sold themselves, exactly.
Yes.
Are you selling high ticket coaching?
Yeah, it's high ticket coaching, exactly. But it's crazy when I realized that, I was like, oh, people like to talk about themselves. They like the idea of selling themselves on something.
You know what? I was selling life insurance at one point, and that's one of the things that I actually learned in life insurance too. But yeah, I drifted away from. But the fact that you brought it back up, I realized that I did learn in life insurance. Let them sell
It's
themselves.
hard.
Yeah.
Because it seems like intuitively we just want to sell. Because like, oh, I'm trying to sell. I'm trying to convince them. But
Yes, and just
it works better the other way.
And to add to that, I listened to this guy, Andrew Bustamante. He's like this ex-CIA guy, and he talks about coming from a point of information superiority. And the only way to come from a point of information superiority is to ask questions and listen and sense and receive, and then you start formulating like their avatar, like who are they,
Makes sense.
what are they
Makes
about.
sense.
So all right, let's go to Meenakshi, and then we'll take a little joke break just to like clear the minds.
Yeah, so I want to dig deeper onto this point about psychographic. It's the advertising is all about identifying a problem and really zoom into the problem. And when you can actually convince people that solution to your problem is my product, and really dig deeper into their emotional states, because most of the problems they take you into a secondary emotional state where you feel low on energy, where you might lose your confidence, or if you're feeling lonely, you're in a state of fear. And when somebody can give you hope through their product as a solution, then it really impacts the audience psychologically. They think that if this can solve my problem, why not? I have to try this. So everything that we have discussed so far, adding value and thinking about audience, is really amazing. But there are few products which actually for very specific short period of time where somebody came up with this idea. If you just Google pet rock, it's a very stupid toy. It's just a rock which has got two eyes pasted over it. But it's sold like hotcakes because of three reasons. First, that idea was sold during this COVID pandemic, where people were scared to bring pet into their house. They were lonely. They were under lockdown, and that having that pet rock, they gave them just an emotional support that I have someone without being an additional burden, because people already have a lot of household chores to do. And it hit the emotional state of people really right. And since everyone was buying it, we were also forced to buy it. This is so popular. If this is helping a lot of people, why not me? So quite often we tell our stories, we think that we are talking about ourselves, but it is very important to talk about ourselves as well. Because if we show ourselves as a vulnerable person out there, it's not that we are talking about I was amazing, I am still amazing, I am going to be amazing. Definitely that doesn't trigger people's emotional state. But if I tell them I was in a pathetic state of mind, I've gone through hell, but this thing changed my life. I'm improving, I'm thriving, and I continue to do that. People see themselves in you, that this is me right now. And that emotional state that you trigger, if I can do this, you can do it too. So it really impacts them emotionally. It gives them hope. So if that product is something which triggers the emotion of hope, people will definitely buy.
Anybody want to follow that up? Okay.
I think that,
go ahead.
I think what she is saying is it's absolutely true, and it's connection first, value second, and then it will get you the results that you're sort of looking for.
Okay. All right, let's take a little joke break. And so on which I think that's the narrow graphic, what she's talking about the story. So here's a little ChatGPT joke. Their backstory says they were a people pleaser. Current status, still people pleasing. But now they charge $297 for it.
That's funny.
Okay, emographic joke. The emographics told me my avatar wants to feel seen. So I sent them a Zoom invite. They left their camera off and typed LOL without laughing.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Sim graphic joke. The sim graphic part is where you realize you created an avatar who's basically you, just with a better boundaries and slightly more passive income. Psychographic joke. Psychographics are fun until you realize your ideal client values authenticity, but only post filtered selfies and never answers DMs unless you're verified.
That is real. That is real.
And then we'll end with a demographic joke. Demographics are like dating apps. Looks great on paper until you meet them and realize they still live with their mom and believe astrology is a career path.
Ain't that something? Yeah, that is real.
Okay, so I'd like to go back to Brandon and then just give us your general thoughts. Where can we go from here? Like, how can we get deeper into this based on your experience?
All right. There's a couple of different things that I guess I could touch on from a couple of different people that talk. One is I probably like 15 years ago, I worked with a life coach, and I moved to Brazil, and I decided to take a different career path. But I decided to work with a career coach first, just figuring out like what I wanted out of life. And I believe that that's guided all my decisions. And those things for me is like authenticity, authentic connection with people, autonomy, impact, and income. And those things for some people can change, but for me, they really haven't. And it's guided like all the decisions that I have made personally. And I think from like everybody on here, I see like myself in a lot of you. And I think that a challenge is now, as like some of you want podcasts, and in this day and age, the world is like really noisy and it's hard to stand out. And I think that I've spent more money in coaching than I have in my bachelor's degree and also my master's degree without putting a dollar amount out there. I'm 45 years old, so I've put a lot into it. And I've learned things and from everything, but I think that, at least myself, I have a tendency of looking at one thing and being like, hey, this is how it's going to work. And let me say this. I've seen people, like for a podcast, talk about what they want to talk about. Other people, they solve a problem. They've been able to monetize it. Some people haven't been able to monetize it. But I think what it comes down to is if you're willing to continue to do something, if it brings you joy and fulfillment, even if you don't make money out of it. So it's taking the 24 hours that you have in a day and switching that around constantly to figure that out. Because like now, I've made a career change and I'm actually in sales. Like I don't want to stay in marketing for myself. It's still my background, but I'm like in a sales focused role and I'm looking at doing other stuff. I've sold high ticket, I've sold luxury watches. I had businesses that failed. I had one business that like sold. So I'm thinking through a lot of stuff, and it's like some people would tell you that like, hey, you're all over the place, don't do that, you have to be focused. Well, that's absolutely not the case, because use Gary Vaynerchuk, for example. He has OCD. He wouldn't be where he is financially or finding joy in his life if he wasn't all over the place. That works for him. So I feel like you have to learn from everything. And even with like religion, people don't want to talk about it, but I find value in Hinduism, Buddhism. I've read the Quran, I've read the Bible, and I do what works for me in my life. And at the end of the day, at the end of my life, all I have to be happy with, and I don't want to live with that with regrets. And I think that that's the challenge that everybody faces is looking at one little thing and thinking like that's the end all be all. You just have to do what works for you. And people that are younger or people that are older than us never had this to worry about because they didn't have access to all this information. But I also don't think that they can have prosperity that people of our age and younger will have, because they can learn from the whole world to figure out like their path and what they want to get out of life. So I don't know if that resonates with you, but that's what I have seen personally. And like even is it Matt that was talking about his demographic? I noticed like, hey, well, selling to weddings that's a pain point. That's one of the most expensive people spend money in. You gotta make money. But hey, I don't know if you do MMA video shoots, but that's difficult. That's what I had a challenge with when I had a startup taking people from the United States to Brazil. I realized that I wanted to be a travel services business, but people were scared to travel to Brazil. They wanted me to physically take them. That wasn't my business model. So that's why I stopped doing that after 3 years. But a lot of those people that are in those gyms don't even have the income to be able to take a trip and travel to another country. So I think that that's where it is, like figuring out like how can you monetize something, how to add value. And some people do things that never make money off of stuff, but they found complete joy in doing that. And other people like don't like their business. They might have a boring business like an HVAC company, but they have steady, stable income and they're okay with that. That's what I've seen from all of you talking and like where I'm at personally in my life. And I definitely don't have everything figured out, but I hope that makes sense what I said.
It absolutely does. And what I got from it is do what works for you. But then my question to the next person is, how do we discover what works for us? You know, if you wanna hit on that. Oh, go ahead, Matt. You wanted to say something?
I like what Brandon said, and I've been really thinking about how I want to do my business lately, because weddings have always kind of been like a safety net for me because they'll book out a year in advance. So I'll be like, oh, as a business owner, I already know what I'm making next year. However, I live on Long Island where the market is just disgusting for a house. And I think it's really changed the way that the event industry has been working. So I am preparing and I have been looking towards like video content for businesses, small size, medium size, just something that's a little bit more monthly, so I can get that monthly revenue. And does it excite me as much to do maybe a financial advisor's content? Not exactly. It's going to be a little more simple. However, what I am excited about is making a system that makes it so much easier to do, where it can become much more automatic. And like you were saying, like that HVAC company where it's steady income, where like some people will probably enjoy HVAC, some people may not enjoy HVAC, but matter of fact, it is your steady income. For me, creating a system that could create that income, I am at that point in my life where that's, I used to be like, if it wasn't fun, I wasn't doing it. And I do think that held me back a lot, but really, and I learned this in business mastery when it came to system, where if I took off a day, if I took off a week, would my business suffer? And the answer at that point was yes. So now I've been trying to figure out, okay, obviously who are the people who can afford this type of stuff? Can I charge them in a way where they can afford it consistently, but also can I get that consistent income, but also can I create a system out of it?
Nice. Wants to follow that up.
I believe that's important in any business, whether and if you're ever going to even have the opportunity of selling a business, is that you have to have those standard operating procedures in place. I mean, look at McDonald's. They're the perfect case in point. Not even if you don't want to grow a business to like $1 billion in revenue, but I think that's important even to be able to remove yourself, or even if you get sick, not having to feel like oh my God, what's going to happen. So it'll help keep people sane. So I think that's important, whether you're consulting or HVAC company, that the more systems you can get in place is just going to be to your benefit.
Who's got a follow up to that?
Joe, what was the original frame of the question that you asked?
Okay, so basically, based on what Brandon said, What I got was do what works for you. But then my question was, how do we discover what works for us? And then Matt hit on, his personal experience with the wedding photos, and then his martial arts, and then that's where we're at right now.
All right, so I got a couple things because I could relate to Matt in a way with the photo thing, right? I'm gonna get to that in a second. But as far as the like, how do we discover what is it that we like our purpose or whatever it is? You guys ever heard of Myron Golden? So he is like one of the top producers in any aspect of marketing and business, right? And I follow him a lot. To me, he's like one of my mentors, even though he doesn't know it, but yeah, he's like one of my mentors. And one thing he said, right? He said, when you're trying to find your purpose of what it is that you're supposed to be doing, it is what comes easy to you that is difficult for others. Right, so that was one of his statements. When you really look deep into that, what comes easy to you that is difficult for others, that is kind of why I got into the self-development phase. And here's the thing, I asked a few people that are close to me, people that don't even know each other, if you could see me doing one thing, what would it be? And everybody that don't know each other, everybody said, dang, you need to be talking to people, you need to be giving advice. And it just, and I thought about it, I said, you know what, let me do it. And I got into it. So I figured that's how you find your purpose. Like, I know one day this thing is going to become something, right? And to touch on Matt with his situation as far as the advertising for photography and videography, dude, I've been there. When I say I've been there, like I did the photography for years, whether it was sports, whether it was weddings, whether it was videography and things like that. I started off with a camera, and I wound up doing a real estate shoot. Someone asked me to do it, right? It was the worst real estate shoot ever, but whatever it was, I did it anyway. I did it scared. But here's the thing. I did a video of a house, recording the video of a house and going through the house doing a video. Posted on YouTube. The lady sold a house in 4 days. And that was my start. You know what I mean? So as far as the marketing and things like that goes, bro, your work, and I wish I knew this back when I was doing weddings, your work, you just got to value what you bring. Make sure your work represents the price that you're charging, the experience that the people are getting. And eventually you'll get there. And I know you were saying that you might drift away from that for a second, and it's up to you. Whatever works. You know what I mean? You can't keep. I don't think you can keep beating something that's not working. But I really think that to get the value, to deliver the value to the people, you perfect what it is that you're doing. You become like, this is a mastermind. You become the master of whatever it is. Be so good that you can't mess up, and then bring that attitude to the people that you're selling to.
What I got from that is value what you bring. How do we value what we bring? And then with this, let's go to Omega. You muted yourself again. She's got all the high-tech equipment over there. She's got to turn on the microphone.
I always do it on accident. I touch it with my thumb and it mutes. I like what Damien said about, what was the line? Be so good that you can't be beat, basically.
Yeah, like, pretty much. You can't mess up.
You can't mess up. There you go. Yeah, like I feel like that's a pretty good way to think about running your business. Like, if you can get yourself to a place where you're just so good, like, how are you going to be stopped? How could you fail? You're just that good. That's what, like, McDonald's, that's what they did. They got to a point where their strategy for making burgers was so good and so efficient that nobody could stop them. And then they applied the same principles to the way that they branched out and created a bunch of chains. And it started from, like, a very small thing to a really big thing. So I just liked how you said that, the way you said that.
Okay, let's go to Andriana. Oh, did she leave? Hold on here. Okay, who's got a follow up to this? Value what you bring. How do we value what we bring?
I would like to go back to the initial question about finding what works for you. Definitely finding what exactly works for us is important, because that's how we are going to give value. So first, we should have a clear why we are doing it, because if you know why you're doing it, it's going to be a driving force, because business is not a straight curve, or it's not a upward curve. It's like a sine wave. Sometimes you can have days where you're thriving, you're doing amazing, and sometimes you are really dipping even below your baseline. So if you can figure out your why and you can align them with your top 5 values. Like selling is important for me. I want to make money, but if I'm not ready to introduce, if I am in a food business and if I'm not ready to introduce non-vegetarian food, I think that doesn't align with my value. I might compromise on the revenue that I can generate from that. So if we align with our values, our why, we will definitely be able to know what works for us. And from there, we need to do that work long enough that we become the expert of it. A lot of businesses fail in 1 to 2 years of starting because they do not have patience to keep building their own experience and their own knowledge. Coming back to the same point, how do we bring value? Value is not something that I learn something today and I go back and teach people. It's going to be a really small value that I'll be able to give. But if I keep building my experience and my knowledge base, if I meet people after 5 years, I'll be able to give value in a lesser amount of time. Because knowledge can be unlimited. There is a lot of information available on Google as well about marketing, advertising, or anything that you want to learn for that matter. But why would someone want to come to you to learn it? Because I can get it done for you in a short, precise. I can actually pick and choose the information that actually works. You don't have to keep struggling, searching the information and do hit and trial. Definitely through hit and trial, everyone can know what works for them. But do we have the lifetime and eternity to do that? Definitely not. So if we can have clear values and why, and if we keep working on our skills, definitely we can find out both what works for us, our why, basically our purpose, and bring value to first ourselves and then others.
Why would somebody want to come to you for this value that you have to offer? And I think that's the key question here. Damien, did you have something to say?
No, but I could probably I didn't, but since you brought it up, I could probably look at it like this. Why would someone come to you? I would think it'd be the experience. It'd be the connection. It'd be, the value they get from you. But I think the first initial thing is the relatability. When they see you or they hear you talk, or even if they speak to you at some point, right? So Meenakshi, right? Meenakshi? I don't want to butcher your name. Meena?
It's too late for that.
I don't want to butcher your name. I'm sorry. So Meena, just listening to you talk just now, right? I had to go back to see what your profession was, and one of your professions were public speaker, right? I think that fits you so well. When I say I think it fits you so well, you have a gentle tone and something that actually draws people in, right? So I think that is one of your biggest values. And we've been talking for maybe a half hour, 40 minutes, and I feel like that's one of your biggest values too. I just wanted to point that out to you.
Yeah, she's like OSHA.
Thank you. I just want to add to it the question that you asked about why would someone want to come to you?
Yes.
The part of you that your mentor can see. If you can show the person that version of themselves, the person will definitely come to you. It's like showing them the future. How would you look like if you come to me and if I train you? This is you. And embody that into that person right in the first week, as soon as you meet the person. And if the person can see that future version of themselves, that will keep bringing them back to you. For example, this is really an Indian thing. It's stopped now, but a couple of years back there used to be a fairness cream ad, and how they advertise themselves is there's a really dark woman, she's failing in love, failing a job, doing everything incorrect, nobody loves her. But that fairness cream, as soon as she applying it, she's becoming fairer, beautiful, she's thriving at her job, she's attracted the right partner. So that fairness cream isn't actually selling that product. They are selling a woman their future, that this can be you. If you're sad, depressed today, if you're not using my product, this can be you after you use. So they're actually showing people future for a lot of beauty products, but I'm not really sure for others if it works. If you can see yourself, the future version of yourself today in somebody else, definitely people will come to you.
Embody who they want to be, therefore automatically being the example of what they want for themselves. That's what I got from that. It's like, in simpler terms, or like layman terms, there's a phrase that goes like, what is it? It is I don't know, I forgot about it. Anyways, here's another joke break. I asked my avatar, what do you really want? And they said, to feel seen, safe, and to get viral on TikTok. Priorities. I was halfway through writing my avatar's emotional backstory and realized I was just describing myself at 3 a.m. with no boundaries and 7 tabs open. My avatar says their biggest fear is being judged. Meanwhile, they judge everyone who says, rise and grind before coffee. Okay. I made an avatar who's a truth-seeking, misunderstood, high potential creative, and now I'm pretty sure I just need therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, Omega's gotta go. Omega, so before you go, just give us your general reflection, and then we'll continue the conversation. We're almost done here, but yeah, give us your general reflection of everything, and then we'll send you off.
I think like this has been very valuable, and the thing that stood out to me the most was what was said about like the advertisement that you brought up. How do you say your name again? I forget.
Oh,
Meenakshi. Meenakshi. There we go. What you said about like the advertisement that described who you could be, like that was like, oh yeah, because that's what it is when we're talking to people. It's the value that they're getting is like the image of who they could be. Like, oh, I just learned this thing because I could become this person. So if you're giving value, then they're like, I can become this person. Or if they're talking, they're like thinking through like who they could become. So what you said was like the thing in my head that was like light bulb moment. So thank you. And thank you guys for the epic discussion. This has been awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful.
No problem. Thank you.
Cheers. Have a great day. All right. Well, Brandon, what do you think about all this, and where do you think we could go from here? Should we go deeper, wider, we'll go above it, next to it? Oh, by the way, this podcast brought to you by Omega Watches, SwissWatches.com. No, I'm just, Omega.
Yeah, I was thinking her name was Omega too, and I was thinking about that.
Yeah. So, what do you think? If you don't have anything, just we can go to somebody else. But I was just curious to know if you got a general direction we could go from here, just because.
No, I don't really know what direction to go from here.
Okay. Andriana, you're back.
I am back. I think that in terms of, I think you should always go deeper.
Let's go deeper. What are you thinking, Matt?
I think being intentional. I think realizing what you want will give you a better map as to how to get there. Sometimes people kind of just post things or share things or put things out into the world, hoping that it's enough for them to be like, oh, I see this, I like this. But at the end of the day, we want to knock on their virtual door. We want to get their attention. We want to get their attention first. Create enough interest to where they're going to be like, okay, I'm interested now, I want to follow you. And then we're going to guide them into our services. So it's more than just, hey, I hope this piece of advertisement material hits them enough. It's more of, hey, let's be intentional. Let's speak to somebody. Let's get their attention. Let's come up with the solution of the problem let's come up with the solution to their problem, and then show them that we are competent enough to get them the results.
Okay, so let's start summarizing. So I think we got to a great point. Omega even left because she got what she thought she needed from what Damien said. So let's start summarizing. I mean, what do we have here? We have, let's go back to the beginning. We have demographics, psychographics, emographics, narrographics, simgraphics. People don't care about your story. Clickbait, which is like how to grab somebody's attention online. We talked about the Carhartt brand. We talked about how to trigger curiosity, and then Meenakshi talked about following through. Doing what works for you. That was Brandon. How do we discover what works for us? Then Damien talked about Myron Golden as his mentor. He didn't even know it. Yeah. Meenakshi said that he has a book from trash man to cash man. I think I've heard of him before. let's see, embody who they want to be, therefore automatically being the example of what they want for themselves. That's what I got from what Meenakshi said. And then yeah, and then I guess from here on, what do you guys think? Let's summarize. Like, what would be your summary of what we said? And then I especially want to hear from Damien, because if Omega, she like, if you saw that light bulb moment from what you said, why do you think that she got that light bulb moment from what you said that?
Which part was it?
I don't know. Can you guys, the name of you guys remember? But she said, and then she even thanked you. She said, "Oh, that was Meenakshi." Meenakshi. So what do you do? You got that, or who got that part? Like, cause she said, yeah.
She was talking about the light bulb moment. If I can see the future version of myself today, this is what I want to be. Selling people the future version of themselves through their product, and before you can sell, showing them how exactly the future self will look like.
I'm curious to know real quick though, if just from everyone here, just start from the top down, like Adriana, just based on what I'm gonna say Meena just said, right? How could you give us a picture of what you see your future self looking like, maybe 10 years from now? I would like to know from everyone.
Yeah, who's clear about that? Like, who's clear about where you want to be in 10 years? That's a great question. Go ahead, whoever wants to go.
For me, 10 years from now, I have my own mixed martial arts school, and it's very community-based, where my goal is to really make an impact on the students that are there, whether you're an adult, whether you're a child, and have this video business of mine as a side hustle, and have this as like a steady source of income, but it's a good enough system to where, am I making as much as I should? No, but it's a strong system where I really just check in on it a few hours a week. And then the weddings become something more of a, hey, here's something fun I do for some quote unquote like fun money. So right now I am trying to reverse my entire life, where it's like weddings is my primary source of income. The video business is my secondary, because corporate stuff comes at like a spontaneous type of situation. And then my mixed martial arts business that I have right now, it just started up in February, where I would like to just...
I have a challenge that may be attached to that. So a possible challenge for you, man. I think Elon Musk said once, he says, try to accomplish your 10-year goals in 6 months.
I've heard that one before.
If you want to take it on, it's up to you. No pressure.
I like challenges. I really do.
Yeah, because if you're already clear about where you want to be, then why not speed up the process? With me, I'm not fully clear on that yet. And I admit it, I'm not fully clear on that yet. So for you that's completely clear about where you want to be in 10 years, why not try to do it earlier?
I like that. Okay. I do have to get going, but I really appreciate this a lot, so I definitely want to keep following everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start a YouTube page for everybody. We usually go 90 minutes, but yeah, if you got to go, you can just give us a reflection of what you got so far, and then, and then go about your business, my guy.
What I like about this is you do have different walks of life, and because we all have a different variety of backgrounds. Sometimes if you talk to everybody about the same background, you only get a limited amount of perspectives. And what's nice is that you do have some Tony influence here too, so you do have that higher standard of thinking as well, where sometimes people are just on autopilot, where they might say the most basic things. An hour's conversation may not provide any value to it. The most valuable thing I probably thought about is what you just said with the, if you're really clear about something, why not try to do it in 6 months? And yeah, I think we did the end of that, but that's something where hearing it from you in this position, in this state, at this time, probably hits a little bit more, because now I'm like, why not?
Yep, I'll give you my Zelle and my Cash App for that, so you can send me like a gratuity for that. That'd be great.
Hey, real quick, Matt, before you go, real quick. I remember what it was that Omega, what it was when I said be so good that you can't mess up. That was what that was, right? And then, so I'm gonna jump off from subject real quick. It's probably Matt's probably the only one that's gonna understand this. Probably it's camera talk, and it's 2 seconds. Matt, right now, you've probably been doing video and photography for a while. As far as shutter speed, aperture, ISO, can you mess that up right now? Can you?
I can. I usually don't.
we usually don't, right? So here's what I'm saying. Be so good that you can't mess those things up, and then you build off of that. So I got so good to the point that one day I was teaching someone, real quick, I know you gotta go. I was teaching someone how to do photos. It was actually my son. I was teaching him how to do photos. He was 11 years old. And I wanted to show him what a blurry picture looks like. And me showing him what a blurry picture looks like, I'm looking through my camera reel to find one. I couldn't find one because I didn't miss. And what I'm saying is be so good that you can't mess up. So for me to find a blurry picture, I had to go online to find one for him because I didn't miss. And I think once you get to that point and you get this confidence, not just you, I'm talking about all of us, that we are so good that we can't miss, the value in what we see for ourselves, the value in our lives go tremendously high. I just want to leave you with that.
I appreciate that. Because there's a lot of, because sometimes you're like, I'm very calm about certain things. I'm very confident in my abilities. But I always have that I don't want to say reality, because for me, it's like you can be so good that you don't miss it. Because that's what a professional is. Like, an amateur is somebody who keeps working until they get it right. A pro is somebody who keeps doing it without doing it wrong.
They can't get it wrong. Yeah, they can't get it wrong. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Man.
Yeah, like Snoop Dogg used to said once, that motherfucker don't miss. He's fucking good. He's so good. That's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Nah, I love it, man.
Okay, so like we're out here. Let's just break it down. You know, like what would be your reflection of the meeting? You know, like what was the value you got? And let's take like 1 minute, 30 seconds to a minute each, and just tell us like what was the goal that you got, that you found in this mastermind, in this brainstorming session. What was it that stood out the most to you? What touched you emotionally? What touched you mentally? Oh, go ahead, Brendan.
Well, I was going to say two things. First is, one, when I worked with a life coach, this might be a suggestion for any of you who still question, like, hey, what am I good at? Or what are some of the things that I struggle with? Is I emailed 10 of the people who knew me the best to ask them this question. What are 3 things that stand out that are good about me, and 3 things that I can improve or that I should be aware of that could negatively affect my life? And I think that that's good. But I think that I had awareness because what they told me is how I saw myself. So I think there could be a disconnect. Another thing I was going to say is that it's cool when you get on something like this, because I think, at least myself at times, I can feel like, hey, I'm struggling or I'm dealing with things that other people don't. But then I get on here and I realize, like, you know, Damien, as a kid, we're probably similar in age. He's still trying to figure things out. You know, that makes me feel good. Like, we're not like 20 years old and we're still like, hey, we don't have everything filled out. So like, that's kind of cool when you see that for other people. And I still, in a way, like Omega was on here and she's 19 years old. I still kind of feel like I'm her, even though, you know, I'm way older than her. So I think that those are refreshing things, to feel like your situation is really not going to be that unique. Not saying that we're not unique individuals, but someone's going to have that experience of something similar, to where it helps you to realize to keep going. And I think that's what most people can't, and Nina has said this, is that I think there's a certain point in time when you have a business, you go, hey, this isn't going to work out. And I've done that, versus giving up too soon. And I think it's all comes from discipline and being consistent to figure out every single thing in life, whether it's to increase your finances, to find joy in life, you know, just all of that. And that's why I look at so many things. And if you look at everything I read, you're like, who is this guy? Because I read about, you know, religion, self-improvement, how to earn more money, fitness, so many things, because there's so many things that I believe that I need to improve in my life. So I think that is the thing, is to always have a growth mindset and just relentlessly try to improve. And that's how you can win out of life, because most people do not do that. They absolutely do not do that. You look, even doctors do not do that. They just check boxes when you go into the doctor's office. There's so much missed because they like lose the passion, or they never had it. And I think that's it. Every day to wake up and continually try to grow. You'll beat almost everyone else, and do that for a lifetime, because most people do not do that. and not how they live their life.
Excellent. A couple of things from that. Time, effort, rest, reflection. Like like you rest and then you reflect, and then the next thing is outsourcing. This is something I do. I'll give this to you guys. Whenever I need to vent about something and I feel lost and confused, you could hire a coach, but I have a network of coaches like from Tony Robbins that I know. And what I do is I send out a text. I said, "Hey, look, there's something I'm struggling with. Do you have 4 minutes?" Because some people will try to take up like hours and hours of your time. I'm like, I don't want to do that because I know I wouldn't do that for somebody. Like, I'm busy. So I know all these people are busy. So I said, do you have 3 or 4 minutes? And then I summarize my struggle in about 30 seconds. And then I tell them, hey, look, this is what I'm struggling. This is the way I feel. What do you think? Boom. And then I get there. I write it down. Then I call the next person. 3 or 4 minutes. Boom. I call them. They'll give. Boom. I'm outsourcing my therapy and my coaching to all these people, and then from that I develop a picture that's beautiful, so that. And then the next thing is KRS-One said in a video, he said that when older people hang out with younger people, when they listen to younger people, they move faster with older people. And when younger people listen to older people, they move faster among younger people. And that is because older people have wisdom, experience, knowledge, and younger people have new knowledge. And that's how you can both win from listening to the different generations. That's one of the reasons I do this. So, all right, let's go to the next person. Let's go to Damien.
All right. So when Brandon was just speaking, he touched so many points that I actually feel. You know what I mean? Especially when sometimes you're thinking that you're the only one struggling with certain things, and you come on, like even being in this group here, you realize, listen, even people from all walks of life are still going through certain things. I actually almost
Recording in progress.
as being a man, or even just being a human being, just developing. And that I actually felt what you were saying. So as far as overall goes, I got to start with you, Joe. Well, actually not start with you, but I got to give Joe. I didn't expect the the lesson that we got from here, the knowledge, or just even the experience that we got from here. It was totally, I didn't know what to expect. I did look at a couple of your videos online, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. But this was a really, really interesting conversation. It had a lot of value to it, and I just wanted to give you appreciation for putting this together. And I think you're a great host, and I just wanted to put that out to you.
Thank you. Really appreciate
Yeah.
that, man. This is why I do this,
Yeah.
because I'm learning from all you guys. So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, like Damien, for example, he's on a higher place in his business, and so are you, than I am, But I'm facilitating this, so I'm like, okay, boom, 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 and then the mastermind. What's the like mastermind? And you are like this. This is an ancient truth. You become the 5 people you hang out with the most. So if
Hmm.
so, that's the reason. So
Absolutely.
all right, let's go to Meenakshi.
So I was able to gather 4 dots for myself, starting from don't be scared to niche down, target very, very specific audience, be very clear. Even if you think that it's going to narrow down your search, but there is still a huge market for everyone. Because when you niche down, you are not just inviting your ideal audience, we are also inviting the audience which might feel missed out. That why can't I have this? Second thing was connection with the audience. If we put ourselves in a position where we tell our story, being vulnerable, if people can connect with us, definitely they would definitely come to us. And the next is adding value. Make sure we pour all our knowledge, experience to make sure that we cut short somebody's time. Why would people hire a coach or buy a product? Because they want to actually save their time. And if I am not saving their time, if I'm not saving their energy, I am not adding actually value in their life. So adding value through your knowledge and experience. And lastly, showing them the future base, the future version of themselves that they actually would want to achieve, and let them embody it through visuals, through all five senses. If they can see the version of themselves, if they can feel it, what would the person do? If what would their future personality look like if they buy a product, and embody that from right now, from this moment onwards. So these were my key takeaways. Thank you everyone for this great discussion. I actually really found great value in this 1.5 hour discussion. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Damien, Brandon, few
No
people.
worries.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then for me, like I wrote uh all my things that I said. All right, well, cool. So if you guys wanna just do this with us real quick, Meenakshi, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna use you once more. If you can do a visualization exercise from what we
Yeah,
learned today to send us off into our day.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll start by sitting comfortably first. Yeah. Take 3 deep breaths and connect with yourself. Come back to yourself wherever your mind is. Just be within yourself. Close your eyes. Take, take a deep breath in. Inhale and very slowly exhale. Take one more deep breath in. Inhale and very slowly exhale. One last breath. Feel that breath filling your lungs with oxygen. Inhale, exhale very slowly. So we are going to imagine a future self today. What would you look like from 10 years from now? Are you a successful entrepreneur, coach, a businessman, a great father, an amazing husband, a very successful podcaster, a coach? Or what would you like to do after you have been successful in your business? Would you like to try a new hobby, cricket, football, volleyball, dancing, music? Just look at that future version of yourself. What are your dreams, your desire? What would you want in your life? Money, success, fame, peace, spirituality, mindful living, a big house, a small house, living in countryside or near a beach. What would your dream car look like? Would you want to own a small boat, a big fancy car, or just a bicycle? What does your dream home look like? What are the interiors? Is that ventilated, centrally AC'd, a warm, cozy, comfortable place? Embody that future self today. The person that you are going to become in 10 years, become that person today. Live your life 100% with commitment. Whatever your future self would do, start doing it from today. It's a normal, usual day of your best, improved version that starts today. Whenever you're ready with the embodiment of your future self, open your eyes and see that future version right now in you. Whenever you're ready, come back.
Mina, I think you may be in the wrong profession. I think we just found your niche, and I think you should pursue this thing.
Thank you very much. Whenever you want to feel that again, I'm happy. You can come back here. And I'm happy to.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta come back for it.
All right.
So, all right, well, guys, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the
Mhm.
next one. I'll start a Facebook group to network and stuff, and then we'll take it from there.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet everyone.
Same
Thank
to you
Take
you.
guys.
care.
All
Take
right.
Bye
care.
bye.
I'm an alien. I'm an